Hey, what's up, guys? So, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about my most recent experience in jail and how it compares to my prior experiences 20 plus years ago. So, things have changed drastically in jail settings and prison settings as well. And the number one thing I noticed right away was the amount of control that the administration has over the general population. Basically, people are scared to death to break any little rule and are really, really well behaved compared to how it was in the past. There also are now protections in place where they're not allowing separation of offenders anymore. So back in the day, anyone that had bad charges couldn't live in the unit that I was in, for example. This time around, I'll share this in another video, but in one unit alone, in a few months' time, I rolled out 12 people. It means I forced a dozen people to leave the unit because of their charges. And that was a problem. The administration even came at me for it, threatening to put me in control management unit and increase my level of classification and security status because they said they don't want any inmates having that kind of power over others or influence in the jail. So they want everyone to live freely and mix with sex offenders, child molesters, and that's something that can't happen for me. So there were some problems I had with that. But, I did what I had to do, and nobody with bad charges stayed. Something different also relating to that is that these days, when someone does have bad charges, they pay. Where in the past, you had no choice. Pack your shit, get the fuck out. You have 10 seconds to go, basically. And you got to tell the officer you can't live here, you need protective custody, and you got to check out. But now they're approached and they're offered an opportunity to just pay instead. So I have some stories about that also, where I encountered that there was a problem, someone had to leave, and someone else came, another gang, talking to me about, hey, we already worked this out and we're going to split the money with you. And that's not something that I do. So that's very, very different as well. But regarding the security and control also, the doors have to stay locked all the time. This is not something I'm used to. The cell doors in the units, basically, if you're in a one-man or two-man cell, anytime you come out, you got to lock the door. So your door is only open once every hour on the hour. They buzz your doors open, and you can go in and get whatever you need. If you need your shower stuff, if you need some food, coffee, whatever it is, you got to go in and out and make sure that door is closed. They make such a big deal about it. These COs are fucking nagging and bitching and whining all day about having the doors closed. It's such a fucking headache. And it's mainly for protection for people who would probably get victimized and things stolen from them. Otherwise, this is to protect them. So you're not allowed to go in anyone's cells either. That's also a charge. So that's very, very unusual. Big pain in the ass. Some of the COs are such assholes. They don't even want to open it to let you get your shower stuff. It's ridiculous how much control they have now. But in addition to that, the jail in itself is very quiet and soft. It's calm. People aren't screaming. People aren't banging on the doors all night. There's not a lot of noise going on like there used to be in every jail I've been in. So they control it by, again, threatening to put you in lockup and taking away, privileges and good time as well. Jail credits you lose. So there are very little movements in the jail as well. So in the past, I was in the jail and prison system when they had actual free weights back in the day. So that's long gone. But there still was some exercise, outdoor rec. So now there is no longer any outdoor rec. The jail has a concrete fucking box that they have like a garage door opening cut out, what looks like to be like 15 feet above the ground, and that's where the air comes in. That qualifies as outdoor rec by law, and so you're really never going outside. It's all steel mesh, so you could barely see through it. You can catch some sunlight, some air, but very, very little. So you don't go outside. You don't leave the unit for the most part. You're stuck in there. Everything's in there. Also, they have cameras everywhere now. So the cameras are so important to them now that if there's a problem, in one unit I was in, the cameras went down for a little bit. They locked down the whole entire jail, rather than let you do movements. I remember we were having one of the meals being served, and they locked us down. And I asked the CO, what's going on? He said the cameras are down. And I'm telling him, motherfucker, every jail I've ever been in had officers with a bunch of inmates and no cameras, and they're allowed to fucking come out and eat and have regular food. You know, so it's unbelievable to me how scared the officers and the administration are as well. They don't want any movement, unregulated, uncontrolled. You know, everything's very, very strict. So there's also no in-person visits anymore. So everything is behind glass. It used to be only for maximum security. If I'm in lockup, I have a behind the glass on the phone kind of visit. Now that's all you get. So there is no in-person visits anymore. So you could literally go from your unit. You don't even have to put on your jumper anymore. People are going in their fucking sweatpants and t-shirts. You could just walk into the visiting booths from your unit. They're inside the unit now. So it's good because you don't have to get strip searched all those times every time you have a visit. But it sucks because there's no contact. And as a result of that, there are almost no drugs in the jail. It's really crazy, the difference. In my past experiences, jails and prisons, especially large facilities with high population, they were like cities. You know, you had everything you wanted. Anything you ever could want, you could have access to. Now, it's completely different. There's no tobacco, no cigarettes, virtually no drugs. The biggest drug there is now is Suboxone. I mean, that's like the biggest thing. It's not even a fucking drug. But that's what their contraband is. That's what people are doing. That or K2, some bullshit they smoke. But that's about it. There's really nothing else. Here and there you hear of shit coming in, but very, very little. So it's changed a lot like that as well. So one other thing I noticed was the cost of everything has skyrocketed. So the cost of phone calls, the cost of commissary is unfucking believable how expensive it is. So you're allowed to max out $150 per week. And I was actually maxing out at one point like 3 or 4 people's accounts every week. I'm maxing that out. Plus, you're allowed $50 from an outside store that they provide you access to that your people can spend $50 on and get you some additional things. So it's $200 a week max you can spend. And again, I was maxing out multiple people's accounts. But I share also. I'm not eating it all. You know, I always share with whoever my cellmate is. And so that's a major difference as well. But they also have now tablets. So technology has changed incredibly. And now each unit I go in has tablets. So the last unit I stayed in for the longest time, there's 64 people at full population. And there's 12 tablets for those people to share. And you could imagine it's a shit show. You know, I didn't even touch these things for the first couple weeks I was there. I was so turned off by the whole idea of having a fucking tablet, any kind of gadget, while in jail. But eventually I realized that I needed it for communicating with my family, but with my attorneys as well. So you could actually have documents sent to you that need to get approved, but you could have messaging. There's text messaging to approved recipients as well. And you have access to certain TV and radio. You could get a monthly subscription to something called iHeartRadio, and you pay by the minute. So this tablet, I'm spending like $15-20 a day just using the tablet. And that's not because I'm on it the whole day. It's because I let other people use it who don't have their own accounts or don't have means to pay for that. So I share it with a lot of people. But that's another expense. So between that, the phone calls, the canteens, it's so expensive to be in jail now. I spent a small fortune in the time that I was gone. It's unfucking believable. So these are some of the biggest differences that I noticed. Very, very little fighting. It's incredible. As I mentioned earlier, I'll talk about it more in another video, but there was at least a dozen people that I confronted and forced to leave the unit I was in. In those circumstances, you would think at least half of those people would want to fight. Not even one. Not even one person wanted to fight me. They all left voluntarily, very fast, and it surprised me. You know, there was almost no violence at all. It includes violence from the guards to the inmates. I didn't see any of that at all. But inmate on inmate, I didn't see anything. Very, very soft, where now anyone could survive. The softest, weirdest people could survive. A lot of the people, so many of the people are medicated. Every time they call sick call 3 times a day is a long ass fucking line that stops all the movement because everyone's got to get their medication. I was so amazed at how many people are on psych meds. It's crazy. And you could actually see, I remember looking down on the tier and seeing and being on the phone and I'm observing. I'm telling the person I'm talking to, this looks like a fucking mental institution. I don't even feel like I'm in jail. There's a fucking loony bin here. Everyone's medicated. These people are fucking weird, strange ass people. Very different experience than what I had in the past. But, you know, there was some good also. As crazy as it sounds, there's always good from every circumstance. In this case, I didn't have any real problems with the administration. Even though things are run very tight and in a strict manner, they were very respectful to me for the most part. And actually gave me a lot of special privilege as well. It's good that I didn't have to fight anyone. I'm happy for that. I don't like violence. I don't like fighting. So that's a plus. And it's good that a lot of people could live where in the past maybe they would have been victimized or bullied. You know, these days they put a lot of protection measures in place where you can't do that anymore. Also, you can't use the phones as freely as you used to be able to. So there's 6 phones for these 64 people to use. I'm sorry, maybe 8 phones if they're all working. And some people just burn on the phones all day. It's not like in the past where it's a collect call. Now you have to have PIN numbers, you have to have voice recognition to say your name, and you have to have your ID number that you put in on every single call. You're only allowed a maximum of 10 numbers that you're allowed to call. So if you accidentally dial incorrectly a few times, that counts as towards your 10 numbers. And you have to write to intake and have them reset that list if you want to add more numbers to it. So they do that so you can't steal other people's phone times and you can't really use other people's minutes. But you still could. There's still ways you could get around that. Even with the voice recognition, I've seen glitches where people could just mimic another person's voice, get their passcode by watching when they're on the phone, and then stealing their stuff like that. So a lot of things have changed. Overall, it's very, very different than what I'm used to. I don't like any fucking jail. I'm not trying to be in anywhere like that again. I can't get deep into this particulars of this case because I'm still fighting it. It's still open. So it's not been resolved yet. I'm hoping that I don't have to go back and serve any more time, but that's yet to be determined. So I'll keep you guys posted as this goes, and I'll continue making some other videos. I have some cool things, some cool stories that happen. I'll share with you as I go along. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you have a very good Christmas. Happy holidays to all of you, and thank you for listening. Take care.